Please, the recording has started. Let's quickly have a recap of what we've discussed tonight. So, in our last class, we looked at editable and uneditable containers, and we started with JavaScript. And tonight's class, we are looking at variables, and we want to talk about what variables are and why we need variables, the need for variables. Imagine this scenario. In this, we want to insert this value in the first one. Then, we want to multiply the value by 5 and insert it in the second one. We want to multiply it by 10 and insert it in the third one. Then we want to multiply it by 20 and insert it in the fourth one. So, as you can see, we are reusing this value. We are using this value over and over again. So, instead of writing it, we can create a container and store the value there. Now, for now, we may not have, well, writing it may not be a big deal for now. But imagine you have many pages. You have to keep copying and copying and copying everywhere. But if as though that is not enough, let me show us a bigger problem. Imagine I woke up tomorrow and I decide to change this value. Instead of saying +3, I decide to make it +7. That means I need to change it here, right? I need to change it here also. And I need to change it here also. Are we following? Please, are we getting
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this may not be a big problem for now because of the, but imagine you need to change this value at any point in time. It means you need to change it at all locations where it is used. And that might give an issue because you might forget to change it at a particular location. And that will constitute a bug to your application. It may not make it work as it should be because it won't give you the expected results. So instead of doing this, we can now create a container, then store this value there. So how we now do it is whenever we need to use that value, we just call on that container. Then once you call on the container, whatever is inside that container will be placed at that point where the container is being called upon. These containers in JavaScript, they are known as variables. Variables are containers that are used to store values. So let's see how to create a container. For now, I will comment this out. So I'll say this VAR, whenever JavaScript sees it, instantly it knows that you're about to create a container. VAR tells JavaScript that, see, I'm about to create a variable. I know this is what corps is in. VAR does not stand for video assistant or no, it stands for variable. Now, next is you want to whenever you create any container, you need to label the container. It's compulsory. It is not optional. It is compulsory. Whenever you create a container, you have to label it. If you don't label it, it will throw back an error. So I need to label it. You can give it any label of my choice. I can call it container. So when JavaScript sees this, it will help us to label, it will create a container and label it container. Next, we want to insert a value in that container. Use this equal sign. Equal sign is used to store a value in a container. So like I said in our last class, for now, we will only be dealing with numbers. So I will store 4 in that container. So what I'm saying is, I'm telling JavaScript to create a box for me and label that box container, and I'm inserting 4 inside that box. So whenever I call on the box now, JavaScript will show me the value in that box, whatever is inside that box. So let's refresh. Yes. Let's move on. Next is we want to create another box. I can call it box, and I can store a value there. So I can say alert container times box. So that's going to give us 4 times 12, 48. So that will give us 48. So we've seen how to create a container in JavaScript or a variable. But then there are some rules that guide this name. You can't just use any name as the label of your container. You cannot just use any name of your choice. No. There are some rules that guide this name, the label on the container. So we want to look at these rules. Number 1.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, sir.
Sir.
I was expecting you to, after you fix this variable, I was expecting to continue with that.
You were?
That those give put you. I want to see the way you insert that number.
Okay. All right, sir. We will do it, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We use to solve this problem, sir.
Do you get my question?
Yes, sir. We use them, sir. So, thank you, sir. Let's proceed. We want to look at some rules that guide these variable names. You can't just put any name here. The name, the rule, it has some rules. Number 1, this name, this label of your container, it must not be a keyword. First rule, variable name must not be a keyword. Variable name must not be a keyword. Rule number 1. What does that mean? It means I can't come here now. Let me remove this for now. I can't come here and say variable var. Var is a keyword in JavaScript. So I can't use a keyword. The label on the container must not be a keyword. I can't say variable if. If is a keyword. A variable name must not be a keyword. I can't say variable for. So as time goes on, you will get used to these keywords. But as you can see, the color of this, once you type a keyword, it will change. So thank God for our text editor. It's helping us to handle that. So once you type a keyword, you automatically know that this is a keyword. A variable name must not be a keyword. Let's go to the second rule. Rule number 2. A variable name must not start with a number. A variable name must not start with a number. Meaning that I can't say variable 1 student. No. It must not start with a number. And of course it can't be a number also. You can't just say variable 1. A variable name must not start with a number. Next, variable name must not have spaces, or must not have white spaces. So what does that mean? I can't say variable new, okay, let's say my container. This space has invalidated this variable name. It must not have spaces in between. A variable name must not have any space. Then, lastly, a variable name must not contain special characters except dollar and underscore. What does that mean? A variable name must not contain any special character except dollar and underscore. Meaning that I can't say variable my container. This hyphen is a special character. I can't say variable my plus container. I can't. It must not contain any special character. I can't say variable my bracket container. So a variable name must not contain special characters. The only 2 special characters that you can use, they are this dollar, or you can also use an underscore. Do we get it?
I have a question, sir.
Please, do you have any question?
I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I have a question, sir.
Yes, sir. You can go ahead, sir.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Now, in case, okay, sir, because like, how would I put it now? Can I see the screen again, sir, so that I can see
Okay.
the dons of variable? Okay, you said variable name must not
Sorry,
be a
sorry.
keyword.
Yes, sir.
So I want to ask, because I want to believe that keywords in JavaScript are many. So in case if we use a wrong variable name or unacceptable variable name to tell us, will will it still accept it, or is there a way to tell us that the name we are trying to use as a variable name is not accepted or is not acceptable in JavaScript?
Okay. We as time goes on, we are going to see a very easy way to identify our bug. Let's even address it now. Whenever you use a long
Okay,
name,
sir.
let me use a long name now. Okay. Let's say bracket like this. Of course, my text editor is already telling me that something is wrong. But let's assume I still
Okay.
proceeded to write it and run it on the browser. If you check your console, Ctrl Shift I, go to console. You know, before now, I think we've been using elements, Abby. In our first stage, I think we used elements.
Yes.
But now, you use console.
Yes.
If there's any error, console will tell you. And it's telling me the line 19. It's telling me that something is wrong on line 19. So I can easily go to line 19 and check it out. Please, do we get it?
Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now,
yes,
console
yes.
only handles, it only
Yes, sir.
handles syntax errors. Console only shows us
Okay.
syntax error. This is a syntax error. But if it is logic error, which we are going to check as time goes on, console will not undo it for us. But once you have
Okay.
syntax error, if you disobey any of these four rules, your console will tell you. Can
Okay,
we
sir.
proceed, please?
Okay,
Or do you
sir.
have any other question? Please, do we have any other question? Okay, let's proceed. So, we've looked at these four rules that guide variable declaration, just to ensure that your variable name does not disobey any of these rules. So let's go back to our initial task. We want to now create a variable to
Question,
store
sir.
this. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. I can hear you,
You,
sir.
said- you
You
said
can hear
it
you,
does not
sir.
contain any special characters.
Sir?
Yeah, it says it should not contain any special. Hello, I said, why is it dollars alone? What does other naira, other currency symbol?
Not allowed, sir. Only dollar and underscore. Okay.
We can hear.
Only dollars and underscore. Not others are not allowed. You can only use this and this. Okay. Can we proceed now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir. So next is, we want to create a container to store this, and we have to ensure that whatever name we use does not disobey any of this. So I can say variable my underscore container. You can use any name, just to ensure that it doesn't disobey any of this. Then I will store this there. So what I'm doing is this. I'm storing this value into this container. So whenever I call on my container now, it means I'm calling on this value. So instead of saying this times 5, I can now say my container times 5. Instead of saying this times 10, I can say my container times 10. Then I can say my container times 20. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Yes, sir. The good news or the good thing about this thing is that if I wake up tomorrow and I wish this value to change to any value, all I need to do is to change it here alone. And since I'm using my container, of course, this will be updated automatically. So also this and this and this. So I only need to change it at this particular location, and others will get the updates immediately.
So that means when we form when we create a new container like this, the value must still be displayed. We must not overwrite it. What you are saying?
I don't get, sir.
The question I'm asking is this, sir. Since you said in case you want to change any of the numbers tomorrow, all we need to do is to go to one of the numbers and change it. What if after we have created the container, we deleted the container as we overwrite it? Does it mean that it must remain on the screen? We must not overwrite it.
No,
we must not delete it.
Yes, once we change whatever is inside that container, it will update itself at whatever location or whatever parts or whatever place we use that container. The new value will be replaced. It will update itself.
Sorry, sir, you didn't get my question.
Okay.
My question is this: we are able to change it because the operations are still displayed, or the operation is still being displayed on the screen. What if it's no longer being displayed on the screen? How do we change it? Does it mean that we have to leave it like that? We must not touch it, or we can overwrite it and it will still be working? And if you overwrite it, is there a way we can call it back to know what is inside the container?
Okay, if I get it, sir. Let's say initially it was like this. 7.
Yes.
If we refresh, we see this. Now, if I wake up tomorrow and I want to change this value, I put 20 here. All I need to come here is to refresh the page, and I will see the new value. So the old value, well, it has gone.
Sorry, sir. Sorry. Sorry, sir. You're not getting my question. Okay, now this is the operation. 4 times 8 plus 20. We have created the container.
Yes.
Is that not?
Yes, sir.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Now, assuming that after creating the container, we now remove it. We remove it. Can we remove it?
Can we remove the container?
If we remove it, is there a way we can call it back?
Like, is it the values or the name of the container?
Everything. It's no longer on the screen now.
Yes, sir.
Is that not? It's no longer on the screen now. So is there a way we can call the container back and then get the value inside the container and then edit it?
No, sir. If we remove it and we try to run this on the browser,
there.
No, sir, it will not work. If we run this on the browser, this will throw back an error. It's not working.
Okay. So it has to remain there. We must not overwrite it. It has to remain there.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's my question.
Okay, sir. So before we leave this part of variable declaration, let's look at.
Hello, Mr. Taro.
Yes, sir.
There is it's talking about overriding. Like, can we replace? Is it, Mr. Owoye, a point where we try to replace the container with another thing, or you are just talking about wiping the entire thing?
Just wiping it out, just removing it from the screen so that it's no longer part of the how would I put it now?
Okay.
It's not in the application again.
That's got I just wanted to understand the part where you are saying. That's all right, sir.
Yeah, he has given me the answer to the question. He has. Okay, sir. That's what I wanted to get. If we can remove it and then call it back, but he said no, that is not possible. That it won't work.
Okay. Lastly, before we leave this part, I want us to look at some little things on variable so that we understand how it works very well. Now, I will bring this back and I will comment out all of this. So, let's say I say variable A equals to 5. Of course, if I say alert A, it will give me 5.
That will give us 5.
It will give me 5. But the reason this is working, if I remove line 19 and I say alert A, you agree with me that it throw back an error because there is no container labeled A, Abi?
Yeah.
Okay. So it will throw back an error. Let's run it so that we see. It's not working. When you check the console, you will see an error. A is not defined. That means JavaScript is telling us that it doesn't understand the meaning of A. There is no container labeled A. Now, let's move on. Let's bring it back. But if I say alert A, this will give me 5. Fine. Next thing is, now imagine this. If I say, hey, equals to 8, what this is going to do is that since we've already created a container at the top and the label of that container is A, at this point when it gets to line 20, it will go to that same container and change the value inside it to 8, so that when I say alert A, it will alert 8, not 5. I come again. On line 19, this VAR is the one that is really creating that container for us. I want us to look at it from that perspective. This VAR is the one creating it for us. So we are saying create a container for us and label it A, then insert 5 inside it. On line 20, there is no VAR. So JavaScript automatically assumes that before you can call on A here, you must have created it somewhere else. So it will now go to that somewhere else and change the value inside that container to 8. So that when you say alert A, this will alert 8 and not 5. Do we get it?
Yes, that's clear.
Who doesn't understand that part? This is very important, like very, very important. Okay, so when you say alert it, it's alerting 8. But note, we still have only one container, which is the one you created on line 19.
Can you repeat again?
Is that?
Hello, sir. I have a question.
Okay, you can ask, man.
I have a question.
Yes, you can ask.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right,
I can
sir.
hear you.
You said variable A is equals to 5.
Yes.
All right. You said variable A is equals to 5.
Yes.
And on line 20, A is now equal to 8, right?
Yes.
So, which means that the former container was 5.
Yes.
And this line 20.
Hello. I can no longer hear you.
We cannot hear you again.
Hello.
What's wrong with my network? Hello?
Hello. I can hear you now.
Go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Go
Can you hear
ahead.
me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm
ahead.
sorry. My network is somehow very poor here.
Okay.
So why is it that is obeying the last command, which is on line 20, on line 20 rather? Line 20. Why is it obeying the last command? That is what I did not really get there. Because one is not creating another container which take that command. You understand?
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes. Now, why is it not displaying 5? Why is it displaying 8?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, man.
Okay. All right. So do you get the question clearly?
Yes, if I get you right, you're asking that why are we saying 5? Why are we saying 8 instead of 5?
Instead of 5, because that line 20 is not giving us another container. Do you get?
Okay.
It's not giving us another container, just like line 19. Okay. So I want clarity in that aspect. Thank you,
Alright.
sir.
Thank you very much. Now, when we did HTML and CSS, we learned that programming or the browser reads code from the top to the bottom, right? We learned that codes are
Yes,
read
that's right.
from the top to the bottom. Good. Now, with that same knowledge, let's now use it to handle this part. Because in the same way, JavaScript also reads code from the top to the bottom. Now, on line 20, you are asking JavaScript, or we told JavaScript to create a container for us with this var keyword. So instantly, JavaScript will create a container. Next, we told JavaScript to label that container A. JavaScript will label the container. Next, we told JavaScript to insert 5 inside that container. JavaScript will insert 5 into that container. On the next line, we're asking JavaScript to replace the content of that container with 8. So whatever might be inside it will be replaced by 8. And because codes are read from the top to the bottom, at line 19, 5 will be inside it. But immediately it gets to line 20, the content of that container will be replaced with 8. So that anytime we now call on that container, it will be 8. Because codes are read from top down. Do you get it?
Yes, sir. It's not clear.
Okay. So if you do something like this, let's do something. If you say alert A here, the alert on this line 20 will give you 5, because at this point there was still only 5 was still inside that container. There was still 5 inside that container. But once it sees this line, that will be replaced with 8. So when you now say alert A, this part will give you 8. I hope you understand it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's run it. If I say 5, press OK, and you see 8. Okay, before we still leave this part, I'm trying to pass something across. Let's now look at something very, very, very interesting. But let's look at this. Now, what do you think we will see if you run this code? Please, are we together?
Yes, sir.
5.
Yes, we have.
Okay, please, what do you think we will see if you run
We're going to say 5.
5. Okay. Any other opinion? Any other suggestion? Okay, if you run this, we see 8, just like before. Although we are getting the same results, this code is not the same as the one I removed. It's not the same as this. Although the two of them will give you the same results, they are different. Let me explain the difference between the two so that we understand this. Please, what I'm about to explain now is very important, not just for now. For now, we hardly have any reason to do something like this. But because of what we still learn later along the line, please, I want us to really take our time to understand this. But if you don't get it, please come attention to it. It is highly important. I want to explain this part now. Now, on line 19, JavaScript, remember I told us that once it sees this word var, it will create a container for you. So on line 19, JavaScript will create a container for you, and it will label it A and insert 5 in it. On line 20, JavaScript will see another var. What that means, it will create another container, meaning we now have 2 containers, and it will also label it A, meaning we have 2 containers with the same label A, and it will insert 8 inside that new one. Note, we now have 2 containers,
but with different values.
With different values. Good, thank you, sir. We now have 2 containers with different values, but the containers are 2. That's the point here now. The containers are 2. So when you now say alert A, normally JavaScript will be confused. Which of the 2 containers are you trying to use? Is it this or this? Now, if you now use is intuition, and say it's going to say to itself, well, for this developer to create another container, for you to have created a new container here, probably the new container is more important to you than the old container. Do you understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
It will
We
just
do.
assume that for you to have created a new container with the same label, probably the new one is more important. If the new one is not faulty, there will be no need to create, and if the old one is not faulty, there will be no need to create a new one. So it will assume that probably the new one is more important than the old one. So after line 20, whenever you call on A, it will always be the new one. Meaning that this first one now is now redundant. It's just useless in our code without doing nothing. Do we get it? Please, do we understand?
Sorry, please, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's good.
You made a statement that JavaScript reads code from top to bottom.
Yes, sir.
Can you please expatiate on that statement?
Okay. When we run this code, it will this
Okay.
This is the first line. It will first create a container, label it A, insert. Okay, let me add this so that you get it, sir. When we run this code, it will first create this container. This is the topmost code here in our JavaScript. It will create a container, label it A, and insert 5 inside it. Then it will alert A. So if you go to the browser, we will see 5. Then it will create another container, label it A, and insert 8. Then it will alert A again, but this time around it will alert 8, not 5. So that means the code are being read from the top down till it gets to the end of the line here. If you run it now, let me save this and go to the browser to run it. You first see 5. If you press OK, we see 8, meaning that this line is executed before this line. That's the only reason why we could have seen, or that's why we saw 5 before 8. Do you understand? Do you get it, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So now,
Yes, sir. So that means JavaScript will read 5 before 8, right? Because 5 comes before 8.
yes, since we have this here, so the value of A, the A at this point will still be 5. But once it now sees this container, oh, it sees that we created a new container, and we say alert A. Alert A. This time around, it's now alert, which is the new one, the newest one, which is 8.
So it works with the most recent code, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
Okay, thank you.
Lastly, you're welcome, sir. Lastly, I want to quickly tell us this. Please, I'm bringing this back.
Hello, sir.
In this case, we only have one container.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Tai?
I'm with you, sir.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Sir, okay, in more clarifying mode, that why can't you change the second variable A to B and then alert B?
Yes, sir. If I
Because
don't have what we'll be doing, like I said the other time, we won't have any reason.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Do you get me?
Yes, sir, I get your question, sir. That's what I was
Why,
explaining.
the label should be different. Yes, instead of AA, why can't the label be BB and
Okay. Thank you, sir. Now this is it. You won't have any reason to label to give 2 containers the same name. In fact, it's very bad. It's very bad. We don't normally, you shouldn't be giving 2 containers the same name. That's what I said the other time, that you won't have to do this. But the explanation is very important. When you want to write code, you'll be giving your containers different names. Different names. You won't have reasons to give 2 containers the same name. It's very bad. It's a bad practice. But what I want to point out here, the reason I'm doing this here is because I actually want us to get the difference between this one and this one. You'll be doing this a lot, but you will not be doing this. Even though the 2 of them in this case are giving us the same results, you'll be doing this, but you will not be doing this. Do we understand? So I'm trying to show us the difference between the two. In this case, you only have just one container. The container is A, and you are inserting 5 inside it. On line 20, at this point, you are referring to the container you've already created, and you are changing the content of that single container from 5 to 8. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
But in this case, there are 2 containers in your code now. The content of one of the container is 5, while the content of the second one is 8. So that of the 5 will be redundant because there is now a new container with the same label, which is bad. This is useless. There's no point putting this in our code again. So please, you'll be using this one a lot, but you won't have reasons to use this. But because of what you are going to encounter in the future as we proceed, that's why I'm stating the difference between the two. Can we leave this part now? Any question? If you are lost, say I'm lost. If you are getting it, say I'm getting it.
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 Okay, sir. Mr. Kayode, sir, please, are you getting it, sir? Okay, maybe he has network issues.
It's like the network is not good in his area.
Okay, sir. Okay, now we've seen how to create a variable, a container, and how to insert values inside the container, and how to update the value of the container. Next is we want to look at what's it called? Naming conventions, and that's the last thing we'll be looking at today. I think this is chapter 3. I'm done with chapter 2 now in that book. So let's go to chapter 3, naming conventions. Oh, that reminds me. Please, it's very important that we know that the book with us has a textbook portion, a place for textbook, and a place for workbook. Workbook is maybe
Okay.
after when you're done with the textbook, maybe 3 something or so. When you're done with the textbook, you will see the workbook. Please solve the task in the workbook. It helps. After reading a chapter in the textbook, go to the workbook and solve the questions under that chapter.
Sorry, excuse me, Mr. Tai. I've been trying to download the textbook and it's not. I've not been able to. I don't know why.
To download it. Okay, maybe.
Yes, I've been trying to download it on my computer and it's. I don't know why it's not just coming up.
Okay, maybe I will download it and just forward the textbook to us on WhatsApp. Okay. But please note that the textbook has 2 parts: the textbook version and the textbook portion and the workbook portion. When you are done with any chapter in the textbook, most of the chapters in the textbook as it's is the equivalent workbook chapter now. Most of them, at least. So when you are done with a chapter in the textbook, go to the workbook and solve the questions under it. The solutions are also there, and the explanations. Then again, go to the next chapter, chapter 2. Go to the when you are done reading it, and if you understand it very well, then go to the workbook also and solve the questions there. The more you do that, the more you understand it. Okay. Now, to naming conventions. Why creating a variable the other time? I told us that a variable name must not have a variable name must obey these 4 commands. That gives us a problem, and we will understand the problem now. Whenever you want to label your container, it's a good practice that you let the label on your container explain the value inside that container. That is, whenever you say, let's say I say variable A equals to 4, After 10 years, maybe imagine this for stands for number of students in class. Let me count the number of us now. 1, 2, 3, I think 7 of us in total. So imagine I have variable A equals to 7. Now, after 10 years, if I see this code, do you think I'll be able to recollect that A stands for the number of people in class today? I doubt that 10 years is even too much. Just a year time. I don't think I'll be able to remember that this A stands for the number of students in class. So I'll just be confused and I'll be asking myself, what is the meaning of this A? It looks somehow. So it's a good practice for you to allow your variable name to explain the value inside it. In that way, whenever anybody sees your code, and even you, after some years, when you see your code, you will easily understand the codes. Because your variable name is explaining the value it holds. Do we understand?
Yeah, we do.
I think one way I explain that is this. Imagine you have two containers and one is labeled, one is, you have salt inside one and you have detergents inside another one. And you didn't label them. And the containers look alike. You know, you might mistakenly cook with detergents. So that's something that can happen. The same way also, it's also something that can happen in programming. When you have two containers that are not well labeled, then you might mistakenly use one in place of the other. That is what you want to prevent. And again, most times while programming, you won't be the only one working on a project. You'll be collaborating with other developers. So, other developers, if I just put variable A equals to 7, imagine I'm working with Mr. Jacob. And I put variable A equals to 7, and he sees my code. He won't know the meaning of A. He won't even know what A stands for. He will have to ask me. He will have to call me and ask me the meaning of A. Please, what's the meaning of A in your code? And which is bad. You should be able to look at my code and understand what that variable holds. Someone said, whenever you want to program, you need to program in such a way that you assume that your partners, your fellow developers, know your house and they can always come to your house and give you a knock. So if Mr. Jacob sees this now and doesn't understand the meaning of it, meaning he can just come to my house and give me a knock. So please don't be like that. Don't be like that. Please let the value of the label on your container, let it explain the value that container holds. So let's solve that problem now. Instead of saying A, like this, we can say, let it be number of students in class today. No, let's say number of students in class. Number of students in class. So, I think this is explanatory enough, right? Abina?
Yes, sir.
But this is disobeying
Yes.
our variable rules. If I run this,
But also, I discussed something. Okay.
sir,
I discussed something, sir. I hope in and class are not a keyword because they are like, you know, how would I put it now? They are different from number of students
good. Yeah, thank you.
in
Sir.
terms of appearance.
Good. Thank you, sir. Now, although this is how we should have, or we could have written it, but then there is a problem. In fact, the funniest thing is, if I say variable A equals to 7, and I say alert A, this will work. Why? If I say alert number of students in class, this will not work. That's because he's disobeying a lot of rules. At least he's disobeying 3 rules. Is it 3 now or 2? He's disobeying some rules there. So let's look at some of the problem with this. Remember I said a variable name should explain value it holds.
That is space.
Number 1, this is a keyword. Number 2, this is another keyword. These 2 are keywords. Then next, a variable name must not have white spaces. This is a white space. This is another white space. This is another white space. This is another white space. So that brings us to naming conventions. Let's look at what naming conventions are. How then do we write many words or multiple words, yet maintaining or obeying these 4 rules? That's when naming convention comes in. You want to obey these commands, these for rules, but yet you still want to be able to use things together. So we have we have a lot of naming conventions, but we only mention these three. Number one, we have the Pascal casing, we have the snake casing, then we have the camel casing. Now let me talk about camel before snake. Let's talk about the camel casing before snake casing. Okay, so I want to look at these three naming conventions: the Pascal casing, the camel casing, and the snake casing. Now, well, one way to easily solve this problem is I can remove all these spaces, right? Problem solved, isn't it?
Okay.
But then this is leading us to another problem. The problem is that someone might read this as another thing entirely. When you join words together, it might mean another. I think I used one example in that book.
Yeah.
Variable go on equals to, let's say, 5. This is what you actually wanted to do. But you can't have spaces. You can't have any space, any white space. So this becomes variable goon. Goon is another word entirely.
Goon.
So when anybody sees this, they might misinterpret it. So when you remove all these spaces like this, then this gives us another problem, because in fact, while reading, someone might say number of students sin. Someone might say this as sin. The person might not just read it appropriately. Do we understand? Please, are we getting it? Show you what.
I can see it.
Yes, sir.
So that is
Yes, sir.
to this Pascal casing. Let's look at the first one, Pascal casing. Pascal casing, when you want to use it, you start every word with a capital letter. Every word. So this is go on. Go starts with a capital letter. On starts with a capital letter. So it becomes this. So this becomes number of students.
N, capital letter N, then S,
class.
then
So
in
whenever
the
you
class.
see a capital letter, you now know that this is the beginning of a word. So it's easier to read. That is Pascal casing. Let's go to the second one, the camel casing. Camel casing is very similar to the Pascal casing, except that in this case, the first word starts with a small letter. Every other word is in capital letter. This is the first word. It will be in small letter. This is the first word. It will be in small letter. That's the difference between the two. So this is camel casing. Then lastly, snake casing. In snake casing, remember, you are allowed to use dollar and underscore, Abi. In snake casing, you separate each word from the next word, underscore.
Okay.
So this is snake casing. Which one do you think we should be using?
Sir?
Which one should we be using? Which one do you like the most?
I prefer Pascal and snake
Okay. Okay.
to camel.
To camel. Okay. Okay. Now, there's what we call convention, and that's something very funny. Convention. Conventions are formalities in programming. Conventions are like norms in the like culture. Good. Culture. If you don't follow conventions, your code will still work fine.
Yeah.
It will still work. It will still run normally. But it will be difficult for other people to understand your codes. So the convention in the world of JavaScript, the convention is to use camel casing. like I said, if you use Pascal casing, your code will stay on. If you use snake casing, your code will stay on. But the convention, what you will see
Run.
most developers use is the camel casing in the world of JavaScript.
Yes.
In other programming languages, there are other, I think in Python now, it's more of snake casing, maybe because Python itself is a snake. So, in other programming languages, there are different conventions, but in JavaScript world, we'll be using the camel casing. So, henceforth, whenever I want to write words together, we'll be using this. The camel.
Okay, that means we have to start the first word with small letter, then
Yes.
others with capital letters.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
That's the camel casing. So, that's what we'll be using.
Excuse me, please. What if we are combining like 4 or 5 words? Is it the first word alone that we start with small letters, then all other letters will be capital letters, or what?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just like this. It will be
Like we're writing number of students in class now, so it's only N that's going to be small letters, then all the other words will be.
Yes, sir. It will be like this. This becomes this. So this is what we'll be using. Now, class work. We are done with tonight's class.
Excuse me, Mr. Tai.
Yes, sir.
In what you wrote, in the code you wrote here, number of students, the S here, this S for student is also capital. I mean, we have combination of small and capital letters here.
Every word.
Or which one are you referring to?
Every word starts with a capital letter. Every word, except the first word.
Oh,
Number
every
is-
word starts with a capital letter.
Sir?
Okay, I think I get you now. So every word starts with a capital letter. Then
Yes.
all other letters are small letters.
Yes.
Okay.
Except
Thank
the
you.
first word. The first word is in small letter.
Okay.
But every other word starts with.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, classwork. But before we go to classwork, let's do a recap and then we call it. Well, we do classwork and call it a day. Tonight we look at variables. How to create a variable in JavaScript. And I explained to us that to create a variable, you use this word var. Next, you label the variable. You can give it any label of your choice. So I can call it box or anything. Give it any label. Then use equal to assign a value inside that variable. So next is whenever you now call on the variable, whenever you call on the variable, you to put the value there. So when I say alert box, this will alert 7. If I say alert box times 3, this will alert 21. So whenever you call on that variable, to put the value of that variable at that position. Next, we looked at the names, factors that what's it called? The rules you have to abide, you have to obey whenever you are labeling a variable. And I said at least these are 4 rules. So these 4 rules are also in that textbook. So if you can't remember it, you can always go to the I think chapter 2 of that textbook. You will see these 4 rules there. So follow these 4 rules. Number 1, it must not be a keyword. Number 2, it must not start with a number. Number 3, it must not have white spaces. And number 4, it must not contain any special character except dollar and underscore. Next, after that, we proceeded to naming conventions. Then I said there are 3 naming conventions. There are a lot of them, a lot. I only mentioned 3 here. The Pascal casing, the camel casing, the snake casing. If you maybe because of your reading, you might come across other naming convention, but I tell you, you don't need them for JavaScript. The only one you'll be using, or the major one you'll be using, is this camel casing, and that's the convention in the community, in JavaScript community. So this is what you will see other developers use. When you check other people's code, this is what you will see there. So the camel casing. So in the camel casing, you start the first word with a small letter, with a lower case, while every other word starts with an upper case with a capital letter. Now, class work. Create a container. Let me type it in. Create a container. In that container, insert 7 in it. Next, create a div in HTML. This will be in JavaScript. Create a container in JavaScript. Create a container in JavaScript, insert 7, then your HTML, create a div. Now, lastly, use sorry, I think this would be better now. Use JavaScript to multiply to display others. How do I put this part? Okay, use JavaScript to display 3 times the value in the container. So that's with 3 times 7.
Yes.
That's 21. Use JavaScript to display 21 in the div. Okay, let's start. These are the 3 lines of classwork that we have to do. First, create a div in HTML. Then next, create a container in JavaScript and insert 7 in the container. Lastly, use JavaScript to display 3 times the value in the container. That is 3 times 7, 21. Now use JavaScript to place it inside this div. Do we understand the task? Please, do you understand the task?
All right, sir.
Not really, sir.
Okay. I think this last part might look a bit confusing. 3 times the value in the container.
Is this a classwork?
Yes, sir. That's the last thing we are doing today. First, create a div in HTML. Next, create a container in JavaScript and insert 7 in the container. Lastly, use JavaScript to display 3 times the value in the container. That is 3 times 7, 21. Use JavaScript to display it inside this div.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir.
If you are done.
Oh, are we doing it now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I didn't know.
You can type it in the comment section if you are not with your system. You can just type it in the comment section. Or you send it on WhatsApp.
Did you say we should just put it on the comment section or we should write it in our text editor?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. If you are not with your system, maybe you are here on phone, if you are joining this class with your phone, then you may not be able to use a text editor. That's why I'm suggesting that.
Okay, that's all right.
But if you are with your device or with your system, PC, I prefer that. Like, you can just share your screen.
Can you put okay? Thank you.
use server to help us to return the value in the container in the div.
Now, solution. Create a div in HTML. Create a div like this, and give it an ID card, maybe display. Then create a container in JavaScript, and create a container called var, and I'll insert 7 inside the container. Lastly, use JavaScript to display 3 times the value in the container.
You can't see your screen, sir.
Oh, sorry. Can you see it now?
Yes, you
Yes,
can see it now.
Yes, we can see.
So create a div in HTML. This is the div. Then next, create a div in JavaScript. Insert 7 in the container. Create a container in JavaScript and insert 7 in the container. That's what we have here. Then lastly, use JavaScript to display 3 times the value in the container in that div. So I want to use JavaScript to display 3 times this value inside this div. So I just say display dot inner text equals to var times 3. And that solves the problem. So we are using JavaScript to display 3 times this in that div. Do you have any question? Okay. In answer of
No
question, please read chapter 4 and 5 before the next class. Don't worry, when we get to chapter 8, we'll be doing assignment, like we'll be doing a lot of assignments. But for now, take advantage of this time to do it. Like take best advantage of this time that you are not doing much. Like the workload now isn't much. But please, as a time will come whereby we may even be having classes just once a week because of the assignment that will be given to us. Like it may be an assignment that we may not be able to finish in maybe 3 days or 4 days or something like that. But for now, till we get there or before we get there, take the best. If you want to relax, please relax now. Relax now. You need to rest, please rest now. But please, when I give us assignment, I'm begging us, please, let's do whatever assignment I give to us. How this little assignment, like read this chapter, read these 2 chapters. If you're unable to do these little things now, I'm scared. When those time comes, I'm scared. But please, I'm begging us again. You will make it easy for me and you by doing these little things, please. So before the next class, read chapter 4 and 5. That's what I'll be coming to explain in the next class. That will be on our next class will be on Saturday. Is it Saturday now?
On Friday.
On
Friday night.
Okay, yes. Our next class will be on
Friday.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming. Enjoy yourself.
All right. Thank you. Good night, Mr. Taiwo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Good
Yes.